cold, but we're still sitting under a lot of clouds, so don't expect the temperatures to alter dramatically. We're still again looking at highs of 8 or 9. It should feel closer to that when you step outside on Thursday. End of the week though, it looks like that high, as it just wiggles a little bit further westwards, will set us up with a northerly breeze. So similar temperatures, similar looking weather, but back to a chillier feel. Hugh.
Susan, thanks very much once again. And that is BBC News at 6 on Tuesday, February the 28th. You can keep up with all the latest developments on the BBC website. But from all of us here on the 6 team, it's goodbye, and we hand to our colleagues in the nations and regions for the news where you are. Bye for now.
Thanks, Hugh. Tonight on BBC London. Is it time for log burners to be phased out in the capital? Experts say they're now responsible for a fifth of London's air pollution.
A lot of these things are sold as eco stoves, somehow good for the environment and good for health. The reality is they're not. Various reports show just how much pollution they're emitting.
Also on the programme, we'll have more on the couple arrested after going missing in January with their newborn baby. Plus, how this smart suit is being developed to help those with muscular dystrophy. And the Northern Lights, we speak to some who captured the amazing view from Hertfordshire. Good evening and welcome. I'm Alice Bhandhukravi. More now on the London couple who disappeared with a newborn baby in January and who were located in Brighton last night. Constance Martin and her partner Mark Gordon from Eltham in southeast London have now been arrested on suspicion of gross negligence manslaughter. Today, around 200 officers have been examining an area of woodland on the Sussex Downs in the hunt for their baby, and say they're growing increasingly concerned. Well, our correspondent Carl Mercer joins me now. It's been a long search for this couple, and the search started here in London.
Yeah, as you say, it started in Eltham. That was way back in September when the couple left their home. That was when Constance was still pregnant. They didn't then surface again until January the 5th in Bolton when their car was found on fire. It's believed that Constance had just given birth at that stage. They then headed back to London a couple of days later via a series of cabs. Were seen in East Ham and in Whitechapel, where it's believed they bought a tent which they were living in, then travelled from Haringey down to Newhaven on January the 8th, and they weren't seen since then until 9:30 last night when the pair were arrested. Now, what's prompted the huge police search that we've seen today, 200 officers from the Met and Sussex Police, as you say, is the fact that although the couple were found, their child hasn't been. And this is what the man leading the investigation had to say at a press conference a little bit earlier.
Whilst we still have hope that the baby can be found safe and well, we must retain that hope. And we, as you see, the number of officers we have deployed on that open search. However, as time progresses, as the weather is closing tonight, as it was last night, in terms of the coldness and the impact that would have on a baby, clearly the risk is getting higher, and we have to be open to the fact that this may not end in the way we would like.
And Carl, do we know what the couple have told the police about their baby? Yeah,
the police were asked a lot of questions about that at the press conference. They hinted that they weren't getting much cooperation. Indeed, they don't even know the sex of the child, let alone where the baby may be. But it's clear from that press conference that they have growing concerns about the child's safety.
Absolutely. OK, with that, thank you, Carl Mercer. Thanks. Lots more to come, including...
You can feel the FA Cup magic in the air down here on the banks of the Thames. Can informed Fulham see off Leeds and make it to the quarter-finals for the first time in 13 years?
People are increasingly turning to alternative ways to heat their homes as energy prices continue to soar. Wood-burning stoves have been one option, but there are calls for them to be phased out in London. Research shows one log burner can emit more pollutants than a lorry with a fifth of all pollution in the capital now coming from wood burners. With more, here's our environment correspondent, Tom Edwards.
Wood burners are becoming more and more popular, and while they might look nice, they have unseen consequences.
They just monitor as we walk. So you're picking up what any pedestrian would pick up, or anybody living here.
We are on smoke patrol with Imperial College London.
To burn wood in London, you have to have an exempt stove in the first place. And then
They're collecting data about wood burning, and it doesn't take long to smell smoke. So we can smell smoke. What's happened to the monitor? Just show us.
So our readings have gone from about 11 or 12 up to 40, 45.
And what does that mean?
It means there's more PM2.5.
So someone's burning.
It's solid
something?
fuel. I mean, it could be wood. It could just be smokeless coal. When we analyse this data, we'll get an idea if there's a lot of wood in that.
Particulate matter, or PM2.5s, can damage your health, and the World Health Organization recommends your average exposure over a day shouldn't exceed 15.
What we're trying to find out is how big a problem it is.
Fog laid a blanket over the London area.
London's pollution has changed since the deadly Great Smog of 1952. The Clean Air Act banned coal burning and dark smoke from chimneys. Wood stoves are allowed, but only if they're an approved type. Open fires have to use smokeless fuel, although there's hardly any enforcement. Wood burners are becoming more and more popular. The problem with that is they emit toxic pollutants called particulate matter, or PM2.5s, tiny particles that are harmful that people then breathe in. And some research shows that one wood burner emits far, far more pollutants than a lorry. At Amazing Grates in East Finchley, they have seen an increase in people buying stoves. They say new technology will reduce stove emissions even further, and the real problem is people illegally burning wood on open fires. Do you think you should have wood burners in London?
Yeah, I do. I think they're a really good... I mean, the reality is that people that are using a wood burner, you're not using your central heating, you're not using fossil fuels in the same way. You're using one source of heat, generally to heat the room you're in. Clients generally are opening up the doors and the heat's going around the house, so you've got extra heat.
But there's particulate matter going into the road outside.
Well, yes, but not that big compared to some of the other, compared to cars and this, that, the other.
Research now shows that nearly a fifth of London's particulate matter comes from wood burning. Health experts and charities now want wood burners phased out.
A lot of these things are sold as eco stoves, somehow good for the environment and good for health. The reality is they're not. Various reports show just how much pollution they're emitting.
What is the answer? Banning them? Do you think is that inevitable?
I think it probably is inevitable. I think in the future we will have to stop burning things. Any form of combustion, be it gas cooking, be it wood burning, be it a diesel vehicle, they all produce pollution.
The government is tightening the rules around fires and wood burners, but there are those that think an urban environment is no place for burning wood. Tom Edwards, BBC London.
Let's take a look at some of the day's other news stories now. London Underground workers who are members of the RMT union will go on strike on the 15th of March, the same day as the budget. It's part of a dispute about jobs and pensions. Tube drivers from the ASLEF union are walking out on the same day. A memorial bench has been unveiled at a school in Dagenham in memory of Jodie Chesney. The 17-year-old was stabbed to death in Harold Hill in March 2019. It's hoped it'll serve as a reminder about the dangers of knife crime. And Tottenham Hotspur is planning to build an electric karting track under its North London stadium. It's part of a deal with Formula One, which also aims to create career opportunities, including a driver academy to find future drivers. The COVID Memorial Wall, a stark reminder of those who died during the pandemic. 3 years on, people who loved lost ones from ethnic minority backgrounds have warned they're being sidelined by the UK's COVID-19 public inquiry. More than 24 organisations have signed a letter to the inquiry's chairwoman calling for race to be at the heart of all stages of her investigation. The BBC's Ushitha Nagesh reports.
My dad was a very kind, loving, nurturing man. Just someone who brought a lot of joy and warmth into people's lives. And yeah, I miss him every day.
It's been almost 3 years since Lobby's dad, Femi, died in the first wave of the pandemic. Lobby welcomes a public inquiry, but feels that people like him are being shut out.
Do you feel like you've been included in the inquiry?
Personally, no. A black man from a black family, it feels like race and the impact that race has had in the pandemic has also kind of just been sidelined. It feels like it's more of an afterthought than being a priority for the inquiry.
So if we could turn please to...
Today, the inquiry's chairwoman, Baroness Hallett, said everyone's views would be listened to.
To ensure that we reach as many people as possible across the United Kingdom, from the seldom heard and from those who are more often heard, to find out from them directly what their experience of the pandemic was.
Dozens of health and equality organisations say there's not enough focus on the issue of race.
We know that black minority ethnic people were hit first, they were hit hardest, and they suffered the most disproportionate rates of death as well. And our position and the position of bereaved families is quite clear that structural racism has to be embedded in every part of this process.
A spokesperson for the COVID inquiry has told BBC News that it is committed to looking at inequalities and that their impact on the pandemic will be at the forefront of its work and its investigations. Lobby's greatest wish is to address the inquiry directly and to tell his dad's story.
I think it would mean everything to know that his death wasn't in vain and that something good at least could come from all this pain.
Ushitha Nagesh, BBC London.
Ellie Crossley is a budding musician studying for his GCSEs, but he also has a severe type of muscular dystrophy, meaning that he uses a wheelchair. But thanks to his mum, a new prototype supersuit has been developed to help transform his life and the lives of others with the condition. Here's his story.
Hello, my name is Eli Crossley and I suffer from a rare disease called Duchenne muscular dystrophy, which is where one of the proteins in my body is missing, which makes it harder for me to do certain things. I am doing my GCSEs currently and my passion is writing music and I'm in a band. For me, I stopped walking last year, which was obviously very tough, but we are looking at this new technology which helps to lift my arm up, as sometimes you can get weakness in the arms from this disease. Do that. Fist bump. And obviously, because this is just a prototype, hopefully in the future we'll be hoping that maybe it could be controlled by movement of the arm or something, obviously, which isn't as loud as this. However, I feel like this is a great start and a great step towards achieving something which can help many people.
Oh, I'm so proud of Eli. You know, he's living his best life, and as you've seen, he's very articulate. And he knows what he wants. As his muscles in his arms get weaker, it's going to be harder for him to carry on doing the things that you and I take for granted. So we really hope that the suit will enable him to continue living independently and do all of the things that he does that enables his life to be so rich and full. So this prototype is a first in kind, and it's pretty bulky. It's quite good function, but it doesn't look and feel desirable. And what we want to do with the 1.25 million that we won from the players of the People's Postcode Lottery is to develop the suit into something that's wearable, that's discreet, and has a very small motor function. I mean, potentially a ring or a tiny little controller, so that Kids like Eli can wear the suit underneath their clothes. You can't really see it, but it's performing an amazing function, which is to help them keep using their arms.
And hopefully this will lead to a lot of advancements in the future for technology like this to help people with all disabilities, with back injuries, war veterans and all these things.
Ellie Crossley there. Now, the first of 3 consecutive days of strike action by teachers is underway across the country. There's due to be disruption at schools in and around London over the next couple of days, and Frankie McCamley can tell us more. Hi, Frankie.
Hi, Alice. Well, first of all, there are 4 dates to be aware of. Tomorrow, Wednesday, the 1st of March. That will see walkouts in the eastern regions. So all of the highlighted areas here on the map from Buckinghamshire all the way over to Essex. London and the South East will join the next 3 strikes. Now, they are on Thursday the 2nd, Wednesday the 15th and Thursday the 16th of March, affecting the whole region. It is important to note it's not just schools. Some teachers in 6th form colleges are walking out too. And it is up to head teachers to decide whether or not to close. They have to estimate how many teachers are walking out, as staff don't actually have to tell the head if they're striking or not. Breakfast and after-school clubs may still run, so just keep an eye out for updates or contact your school in advance if things are unclear. Now, as for what teachers are striking over, well, it's all about pay. Unions want above inflation pay rises because in real terms, the Institute for Fiscal Studies that analyses teacher pay says salaries in England fell by around 11% in the last 12 years. So the National Education Union says strike action is their last resort.
Our members don't want to be taking this strike action. They want to be in schools. They want to be in the workplace educating children and young people. So we're asking the government to come back with something serious, something meaningful so that we can end this dispute.
Now, the government has agreed to provide an extra £2 billion of school funding in England, which it says will take real-term spending on schools to its highest level in history. In 2022, most state school teachers in the country had a 5% pay rise. The government's also proposing a 3% pay rise for most teachers next year, but the NEU says this is simply not enough. Talks are continuing, but if unions and the government cannot come to a deal, you guessed it, there could be more strikes coming our way. Back to you, Alice.
Absolutely, Frankie, thank you. And if you have questions about the teachers' strike and how it might affect you, we'll be attempting to answer them in tomorrow's programme. So tell us what you'd like to know. You can get in touch with us on email hellobbclondon@bbc.co.uk. To football now, and only 3 London clubs remain with a chance of making it to the men's FA Cup final at Wembley. One of them is Fulham, who host fellow Premier League side Leeds tonight, live here on BBC One. Victory would take them into the quarter-finals for the first time in 13 years. Well, Chris Legg is at Craven Cottage for us this evening. Chris, how are Fulham fans feeling?
Yeah, there's real buzz of excitement around this one. I was speaking to fans in the way in. They fancy a cup run this year. A lot of big teams already knocked out. Fulham doing so well in their first season back in the Premier League, 6th in the table, and they're taking on a Leeds side who are struggling just a point above the relegation zone. Now, we've got live commentary on BBC London Digital Radio tonight. Delighted to say part of the commentary team, the former Chelsea forward Sam Parkin, is with me now. Sam, what have you made of Fulham this season?
They've been outstanding. I think all the mistakes of their previous opportunities in the Premier League have just been put to bed this season. I think defensively obviously was really problematic prior to this campaign under Marco Silva. The relationship between Tim Ream and Diop for one has been unbelievable. Goalkeeper has been excellent, and getting the best out of Alexander Mitrovic was a big quandary, and they've certainly answered that now.
Step up in the quality of opposition tonight though.
Yeah.
They beat Sunderland in the last round. But Leeds, albeit struggling in the Premier League, they've got that new manager effect, haven't they, that might carry them over the line tonight?
Yeah, and a really good victory at the weekend, much needed in the Premier League. They'll be buoyant, as is always the case. When a new manager comes in, the tempo goes up in training immediately. You're all playing, in essence, for your futures again. They've got some good players, Leeds. I think Jesse Marsh was unlucky, really, because a lot of good performances just couldn't convert into goals.
I've got to ask you, what would it mean to a club like Fulham if they were to get all the way to the final? 1975, the last time they got there. Bobby Moore was in their team that day.
Well, if they could combine that by maybe reaching Europe as well, it would be an incredible season in terms of their league progress. But yeah, it'd be fantastic and great opportunity with Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal not in the competition. Even if the Manchester clubs get through, there's always the chance they could draw each other. So there's an unbelievable opportunity for a team outside the top six.
Well, thanks so much, Sam. We'll let you go and get to the commentary point. Live commentary on BBC London Digital Radio and, of course, live on Match of the Day on BBC One tonight. Alice.
Chris Legg, thank you. Now, imagine leaving your car parked correctly within a bay on a street near your home, but when you go to use it, you find a disabled bay has been extended and painted around your car, and that you've been left with a number of parking tickets. Well, that's what happened to a motorist in southwest London. Lakshmi Gopal has the story.
This is Paul. This is Paul's car. And this is what happened while the car was parked next to a disabled bay. The council painted a line around his car and then fined him for being in a disabled bay.
I parked with the end of my car, the back end, flush with this line here you can just still see. That was the official end of the parking bay when I parked. When I returned to my car, the new extent of the bay was here.
Paul got 5 parking tickets, a total fine of £650.
I was angry. It seemed nonsensical.
When returning to the car after 3 weeks, he also noticed some damage. He believes it was the council.
They claimed that it would actually have been impossible to paint lines to extend the bay while my car was parked. They claimed that there are 2 machines, one to do the painting. They could not have used that categorically. The other one to remove the lines. If they had attempted to use that, it would have caused damage to the vehicle. And when I came back, there was damage to my vehicle.
After months of correspondence with the council, he's still trying to fight the fines.
I got, one of these for each of the penalty notices, telling me that they'd basically denied, my appeal.
Merton Council said in a statement that Paul left his car parked for a number of weeks without visiting it. They said they can't be held responsible for him not reading signs notifying residents of the work, and that efforts were made to contact him during the weeks his car was parked.
There were no signs, and they didn't try very hard to contact me. They have all my details on file. I've been a resident with a residence parking permit for 10 years. They have all my details on file, and nobody tried to contact me.
The council has reduced but not cancelled the penalty. Paul feels it's unfair he's being fined at all and isn't prepared to draw a line under this just yet. Lakshmi Gopal, BBC London.
Now, the Aurora Borealis, or Northern Lights as they're more commonly known, have been putting on a magnificent show in the skies over the UK and parts of Europe over the last few days. An endless stream of colourful photos have been uploaded to social media platforms, and clear skies meant that some of us in southern parts of Britain were able to see them. Wendy Hurrell's been to meet a photographer who shared his images taken in Hertfordshire.
We in the south of England usually have to look on enviously while photographs flood our timelines of magical swirling particles illuminating the skies over the more northerly parts of the country. But not this time. This supercharged solar storm made it all the way to St Albans.
We were really lucky on Sunday night and last night with the clear skies down here. Even if you just look outside in the centre of town, like you could see all the stars. Thought drive out of town, try and find somewhere that's away from the lights, which is why I came up here with a good view of the north sky. And then we kind of walked out the car and pretty much straight away got some pictures.
So show me what you managed to get.
These first ones are from Sunday night, so taken at just after 11 o'clock. As you can see, you've got really nice pinky purple colours, and then on the left hand side some of the vertical pillars.
How did you get those amazing photos?
Just on an iPhone actually. I don't have a professional camera. So basically at night you need to kind of set the exposure time to quite a long time, so about 10 seconds or so. And then I was using a tripod as well, because you need to hold the phone really still, and trying to do that with your hands when it's cold is practically impossible.
And so when you got back here last night, there were a few more people around, weren't there?
Yeah, it was quite funny, to be honest, because I knew that the picture that I took on Sunday had got in a few of the papers around here, so I thought it might be some people, but we turned up at the parking lot and there was kind of, I don't know, 25, 30 cars, loads of people up here, people with professional cameras, tripods, everything, and people were bringing hot drinks and stuff and just setting up sort of camp to watch out. And I've done this in places like Finland and Norway before, but to do it 10 minutes down the road from where you live in the south of England is a bit mad, yeah.
According to forecasters, the solar storm that brought us this Aurora Borealis event has now concluded, which should save you pulling an all-nighter in the cold tonight trying to see it. But astronomers say the fact that we saw it so far south indicates the sun is more active than expected. And as we approach the solar maximum in 2 years' time, it might be that more of us can experience this extraordinary light show. Wendy Hurrell, Hartwood Forest, St Albans.
Stunning pictures there. Time for a look at the weather now with Elizabeth Rizzini, who's here. Are we going to have clear nights this evening and onward?
Well, no. The signal was quite strong actually for the aurora earlier on in the day, but it's now dropped. It's going to be lower tonight, and in any case we won't see anything even if the signal was much higher, because the skies are going to be cloudy. But we do have another couple of weather watcher pictures again from Hertfordshire spotted last night. So this one, you can just see the faint glow there, not as good as all the photographs from further north, of course, earlier on through the week, but still pretty impressive for this far south. But that's kind of it for now, really. It's not going to be a thing for the rest of the week. Instead, we're going from the sublime to the rather mundane, because this is what we saw for most of us earlier on today. Plenty of cloud around, a few showers at times. Not too many changes actually as the week wears on, although it will turn sunnier by the time we get to Thursday. Tomorrow it's more of the same. I've put a bit of sunshine on just to cheer us all up. There won't really be very much, but a few brighter spells. Cloudy, some showers, and again feeling really rather chilly. So in a little bit more detail then, overnight tonight there will be a few clear spells, I think, across parts of Kent, maybe Surrey for a time, but lots of cloud, and you can just see that those showers just streaming down on the chilly northeasterly wind. Temperatures where we see some long clear spells could drop below freezing, otherwise low single figures as we kick off the day tomorrow, and it's much of a muchness really. There'll be a lot more cloud, again a few more showers, watch out for those. A few brighter spells. Now tomorrow is actually the start of the meteorological spring, but it's not going to be feeling very spring-like. Instead, it will be cold. Temperatures at or just below the seasonal average, but of course there will be quite a bit of added wind chill. But happily, Thursday is looking a bit more cheery. We've got some drier air coming our way, so there should be a lot more in the way of sunshine, and it should stay dry. Temperatures improving. We might even get to double figures. The high pressure that's keeping it dry, mostly dry and settled as we head through the rest of the week, is still with us. There'll be a slight shift in wind direction to more of a northerly. Just watch out, because over the weekend it will start to turn colder.
Oh dear, Elizabeth. Thanks very much. That's it from me. There's plenty more news on our website, of course, but for now, from all of us, do have a lovely evening. Bye.